Hey guys, Pete with Crunch Time Coaching. Today we're going to have a fun video. We're going to give a report card on the top 10 players in the world on the ATP Tour after the first quarter of play. We've gotten through the hard court season, the beginning of the year hard court season, the Australian Open. Now they're getting ready to go to the clay. So let's see how the top 10 have done. This is just fun. It's certainly no fact or anything. We're grading everybody from A to F, and this is my opinion. I want you to comment and let me know what your opinion is on the top 10, how they're doing. Now, Tsonga is number 10 in the world. I actually thought he was going to still be around 7 or 8. I think he moved up to that. He's had a good season. He's 17-4. His last tournament that hurt him was at Indian Wells, and he lost in the second round to Fognini. So I think that really kind of set him back a couple spots. But if we look at his season, it's been solid. He had a great tournament in France. He beat some quality players, beat his fellow countryman. And then that Kyrgios win was big. And his win in the final was great. So that was a good result. And then the tournament before that, he won 2 tournaments in a row, where he beat Cilic, he's beat Berdych, he beat Goffin, so solid. And then at the Aussie Open, let's see, he got to the semifinals of another tournament in France. Okay, good showing there. Lost to Zverev, who's solid. Got to the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. So a very, very solid start to the year. I'm going to give him a B+. I think he's certainly hotter than a lot of the top 10 players. So I give him a B+ for his performance. And let's move on to number 9. Coming in at number 9 is Dominic Thiem. Now, to me, he's had a pretty decent year. He's 17-8. So I don't think he's playing as good as Tsonga, who's number 10 in the world. And he does have a career title, so he's got one title, one singles title this year. But he also has some questionable losses. At Miami, he lost in the first round, 6-1, 7-5. I know a lot of people kind of question that maybe he plays a little too many matches, so he keeps his schedule maybe a little too busy and kind of burns out. But he's to me, a lot of people are talking about that he could be the next guy to really make a move, someday break into the top 5, maybe even be number 1 in the world out of the younger players. And I'm waiting for him to do bigger things at the more important tournaments. We can see that at Indian Wells, he had a decent showing, got to the quarterfinals, had a really tough match against Wawrinka, so that's solid. Then he loses to Sam Querrey. Now, ordinarily, you'd say that's a bad loss in the quarterfinals, but Sam was playing incredible. He beat Rafa, who's the second hottest player on the tour this year. So Sam was on fire in that tournament. And then let's see. Here's where he won his tournament, and he had some solid, decent wins. Okay, Boost is a great player, but again, to me, it's not. It's a lower tier tournament that he won here. So good job there, but nothing where I'm like, okay, this guy is having a phenomenal year. And at the Australian Open, he lost in the 4th round, a really tough match, and so to me, just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna give him a C. I'm giving him a C. I think he's to be number 9 in the world, and for the expectations on him, he's got to start doing a little better in the bigger tournaments. That's my opinion. And we'll go. I'd love to know your opinion. Some people might be mad at me, but let's go to number 8. Okay, now this is going to sound brutal, and I like Cilic. He's a nice guy, but who is he paying? I need someone to explain to me how this guy stays in the top 10 month after month. He's 5-7 this year. And I can't remember any real significant results he's been having since he won the U.S. Open a couple of years ago. What has he done? I know he's done okay in some tournaments and showed up at some tournaments, but really, to me, he's been off the radar for a while, but he's always in the top 10 lately, and I have no idea how he's doing it. He's had a really bad record, 5-7, hasn't done much of anything, no titles this year. I'm giving him a D-. Okay, let me know what you think. I have no idea how he stays in the top 10. How is he number 8 in the world and Tsonga is number 10? Someone needs to explain that to me. Okay, coming in at number 7 is Nishikori and To me, he's having a solid year, 15-6, no titles this year, solid results, and he is looking at this now. He's 27. He's 27 years old. I think he's got to start to, if he's ever gonna, what some people think he can do better. I think he's got to make his move like now. If he's gonna be top 5, if he's ever gonna win a Grand Slam, he's got to do it now. To me, it's kind of like David Ferrer syndrome. I think he's just a solid player. I don't think he has those extra weapons to be in the top 5, to win Grand Slams. I think this is just kind of what you're going to see. He's always a tough out in a tournament. You can see at Miami, got to the quarterfinals at Indian Wells, lost to Sock. And let's see, he got to the final against, where was this, in Argentina, and lost to the dog. Roger Federer had a very tough match with him at the Australian Open. So he is just showing that he's solid. He's a tough out, got to the finals of this tournament. So solid. He's a solid B. He's a solid B for me in the top 10. To me, at 7 is right where he belongs. I just picture him always kind of wavering between 5 and 10. That's where he's at. I don't see him winning a Grand Slam. I don't think he has the firepower to do it. And so just a solid performance this year so far. Next up is Milos Raonic. Now, this is a tough one. I feel bad for this guy. To me, last year he was really making a big move. I think he got as high as number 3 in the world, if I'm correct, and got to the Wimbledon final and was really saying, hey, it's winning a Grand Slam or bust. It's my time. I got to do this. And he's 26 years old. He's kind of getting to that stage where now, if he's going to start to win, he's got to. He's 11-2. He's 11-2, but we haven't really heard much from him this year because he's been sidelined a lot. And now he's out and just had to pull out with a hamstring injury. So worried about this. He won his first round match at the Miami Open. Then he had to pull out in a walkover. He lost to Jack Sock in the final with a walkover. He had a tough match against Rafael Nadal, quarterfinals at the Australian Open. So, nothing bad as far as playing tennis-wise, but a big guy like this starting to run into injuries, that's tough. I think it's tough. The bigger you are, sometimes they say, the harder you fall. And I think for very, very tall tennis players, it's hard to stay injury-free once they start happening. So this will be a very interesting year. It could be a pivotal year. He's got to get healthy. And if he stays healthy, then he's got to really cash in on winning a Grand Slam within the next 2 years. I'm going to give him kind of like an NA. It's kind of hard to grade him. When he's been on the court, he's solid. So just feel bad for the guy. Let's move on to our next. We're getting into the top 5 now. So this is pretty exciting, where the last couple of years people have been saying Rafa doesn't have it anymore. He's lost a step. He's been complaining about not feeling 100% on the court and not feeling 100% confident. But this has been a great year. I would have to say he's the second hottest player on the tour, right? I think, if you're just looking at this year, he's the number 2 player in the world, and we know who's number 1. So right here, just finished Miami. Now, one thing that's interesting, he's 19-5, solid. He hasn't won a title yet this year because he's run up against Roger Federer now. So Roger Federer took him out at Miami. Roger's kind of used to this happening the opposite way. Indian Wells, Roger took him out. And then this is where he had his best chance. You thought, okay, he's going to beat Sam in the final. But Sam, this is not even really a terrible loss from Rafa. He definitely was off his game, but Sam kind of took the racket out of his hand. He had 3 really strong wins in a row. He took out Kyrgios the round before, and Kyrgios has been a very, very hot player this year. And then, obviously, the epic match at the Aussie Open where Roger, I was talking to one of my students yesterday, and they said, what if Rafa would have won that match? Would Rafa be 3-0 against Roger? It's all about confidence, and Roger's flipped the switch on this. So I'm giving Rafa a nice solid A. We're getting ready to go into the clay court season, so hopefully he's got to feel pretty good that he did so well on the hard courts. He's feeling good physically. People like Novak Djokovic, very questionable. Andy Murray, very questionable right now. And I don't think Roger is going to win the French Open. So you almost have to look at Rafa again as the favorite to win at the French. A solid A, and good things ahead for him for the next couple of months. So he's got to be feeling pretty good. Then the surprise of the year, 35-year-old Roger. And this is usually when, if people can even make it to 35, it's amazing. But this is really when the wheels start to fall off, and it started to look like that was happening last year. Roger was having a tough time getting himself going, and then he had that really tough loss to Raonic. He was playing a good match, but then we saw him fall down, and then he took 6 months off, and you're thinking, how can a guy going through knee surgery come back at 35? And he was dropping out of the top 10, and he's 19-1 and has 3 titles, maybe playing the best tennis of his life. That's kind of weird to say about somebody who's been considered maybe the best player of all time, and now he's playing the best tennis of his life at age 35. He's moved that ranking now into the top 4. I think it's a real possibility he could finish the year at number 1, because remember, when we go into the back end of the year, he's got nothing to defend. So, I mean, Roger is sitting really, really pretty right now. Just won the Miami Open. Then he beat Stan at Indian Wells. This was his only bad loss in the second round. If he didn't have this, he'd have pretty much a flawless year. But he just had that really weird loss where he came out a little flat, maybe took his opponent a little too light after winning the Australian Open. So Roger gets an A triple plus, like AAA all the way across. And, he's really he's revitalized the game too, because when Roger is doing well, everything's right with the world. Everybody loves Roger. So it's just been so cool to see this happen. And so hopefully he can keep it going. He's going into the clay court season. This is going to be a big test. It's all about confidence. What if he goes in? He's been finishing points really quickly, okay? He's also been grinding too, but winning a lot of 1-2 combination points, that's hard to do on clay. And to me, it's just he's just so confident in his forehand, so confident in his backhand. You lose a little bit of that confidence, maybe your game goes back the other way, and the clay is also a lot more physical. And so it'll be interesting to see how he does on the clay and then how he bounces back for Wimbledon. I think that's when he can then, really resurge himself and win Wimbledon. So Roger's definitely our top star player for 2017 so far. Let's break into the top 3. So Stan is the number 3 player in the world right now. We'll see how long this lasts. He is 32 years old. He has no titles this year. He's 14-5, so solid. But for number 3, I think underperforming a bit. He, let's see here, at Miami, he lost to Alexander Zverev. Not really a terrible loss because Zverev is so good and up and coming, but he lost 6-1 there in that he got clobbered there when you look at it. So a little bit of concern. He did well at Indian Wells, lost to his buddy Roger in 2 sets, which pretty much everybody's losing to Roger, so no shame there. Lost in the first round. Okay, that's a big one. And at the Australian Open, he lost again to Roger. So a couple losses to Roger and a couple bad losses here. So the good news for him is he can be very, very solid on clay. He's a great clay court player. I think he's got a perfect game to do very well on clay. I could see him winning the French Open. I think he's got a good chance this year, especially when Djokovic and Murray are so questionable. Rafa, you don't know how he's going to react, but you'd have to picture him the favorite, but maybe Stan's right there, right behind him. And so he could pick up some tournament wins or do well there. So I think that it's a good timing for Stan to go on the clay, because I'm going to give him a B- for his performance so far this year, bordering on a C+, like B-, C+. He's done okay, but not great, especially when you're top 3 in the world. It's actually interesting. The top 3 players in the world are probably the ones we're most concerned about right now. All right, so Novak, it's a tough one to figure out here as far as how to grade him. His record 11-3, that's not bad. He does have a title, but there's always such high expectations for Novak, and people have been questioning his motivation. It looks like he's lost a little bit of firepower on his strokes. To me, I see that. I don't see him hitting through the court as much. I think his confidence, he's struggling a bit on his confidence. Just not as clutch and able to bear down that we've been used to seeing over the last couple of years. And so at Indian Wells, he lost to Nick Kyrgios, and then he had to pull out. He says his elbow is starting to feel better. He's going to play in the Davis Cup to kind of test it out. Lost back-to-back to Kyrgios. Now, Kyrgios, though, for the knock on him has always been he's just like mentally just not there, but he's been mentally there lately. You have to give him his credit. Let's see here. He won Davis Cup, but this was the big surprise right here. And again, this was not, now on paper, it's a really bad loss. He lost to Istomin, but Istomin even said in the interview, I feel sorry for Novak because I played so well. Istomin has given other top players trouble before and has been on the brink of beating them, but ultimately has let himself down. This was a great match. I thought Novak played well. I don't see Novak playing bad. He's not at his top, but he's not playing bad. He had a great match against Andy Murray to win his one tournament. So it's, to me, he's got to find just a tiny little extra motivation. He's got to find a little more firepower, and he's got to have a little bit of luck on his side to win a big match to get his confidence back. I think if he does that, if you're a Novak fan, especially going into the clay, it could be good. Hopefully he's really healed and feeling good physically. I think that's going to be a big part of how he does on the clay. This could be a great time to go to the clay. So Novak, I'm giving him a B. And I think it's good timing that he's going to the clay. I'm less worried about Novak than I am for Andy. So let's get to the number one player in the world right now. So Andy Murray, everything was really set up for him to have a big year. He did so well at the end of last year, and he was riding on a lot of confidence, and I was thinking this could be a year where he might win 2 or 3 Grand Slams if he could take his confidence from last year. But he's just had a couple of weird losses. He's 12-3. He does have one singles title. But if we look at Miami, this was, again, a weird loss because Andy Murray right now, he just got injured. But until he got injured, I thought physically he looked very strong. His defense has been, in the matches I've watched, amazing. But then he's played a couple players who are coming to the net on him, and you would think Andy'd have a great game with his great, awesome return, his defensive style to really do well against serving volleys, but they have been his Achilles heel. So Pospisil here, he was coming to the net all match long and pulled off the big upset against Andy. Then we see in Dubai, he won that tournament. And Australia, he lost to Zverev, who, again, was coming to the net all day long. So it just was kind of like weird matchups that he lost. He also lost to Novak in the finals. So not a bad year, but certainly not what he wanted coming in 2017. And now he's got an elbow injury where it's kind of, we don't know when he's coming back, and his camp is trying to keep it quiet. But his brother did mention the word tear. And elbows injuries can stay around for a while. They are really not, and when you have an elbow injury and you're trying, anybody out there, you try and hit the ball on your serve, on your forehand, backhand, there's so much pain. Everything just runs and shoots right up the arm. It's hard to be out there having a good time and feeling super confident. So this is going to be really, really interesting. And I feel bad for Andy because the timing couldn't be worse to get this injury, because his confidence had to have slid a little bit, starting disappointing, now getting the injury, especially when looked like the world was his oyster going into 2017. So where does he go from here? Obviously, we got to give him kind of a low grade. I'm going to give him a C for the year so far, and a great unknown for the rest of the year here. We have to see how he recovers. You got to see how he recovers. And going to the clay court, he's okay on clay, but to me, for as consistent as he is, he doesn't seem to play as well as you think he would on clay. So I don't know what's going to happen to Andy. There's my top 10. Let me know what you think of this video. Do you agree with my analysis here? What are your grades for everybody? List everybody. Do your own top 10 and give them all grades and write little lines. I'd love to see it, love to read. I'll respond. I'm sure other people will respond. So let's get a fun little talk out of this. If you like this video and you like tennis instruction, subscribe to this video, subscribe to my channel, give this a like, comment, and I'll play another video for you, an instructional video. Roger Federer's, his new secret thing that he's doing on his backhand. It comes down to 2 threes. Roger's doing 2 threes on his backhand. That's had him have his new and improved backhand for 2017, which has been such a big deal. So watch this video coming up. And thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. This is Pete from CrunchTimeCoaching.com, signing off.